Hello, hi, this is Sridendra, and today I'm going to discuss how a cloud-hosted Red Hat Ansible automation platform can securely interact with locally OpenShift CRC clusters. Since the CRC clusters reside on local machines and it is not directly accessible from the internet, so we will be using ngrok to create a secure tunnel between the AAP Sandbox and the OpenShift CRC clusters. Basically, ngrok creates temporary public endpoint that forward traffic to a local service running on developer machines. So the flow is whenever user log into the AAP, it launches a job template, and the point AAP knows which playbook to run, where the source code is stored, and which credential to use. So AAP does not store any automation code locally. Instead, it pulls the latest version from the GitHub every time the job runs. And AAP doesn't execute the playbook directly. It launches a temporary container called execution environment. So why using a temporary container? Because it contains Ansible core Python libraries and Kubernetes modules already installed on base image Linux. So now the playbooks needs to talk with the OpenShift API for namespace informations. So can a cloud service reach your laptop? So the answer is no. The main challenge is the AAP sandbox is hosted on the cloud and it cannot directly reach to those our local API clusters. The cluster has no public IP and direct API access is impossible. So the solution is to use the ngrok that creates a secure public bridge. ngrok opens an encrypted tunnel from the internet directly to your local OpenShift API, so no firewall changes needed. And also we don't have to configure anything on AAP Sandbox. We only need to install in our local machines. So this is the public internet and this is the encrypted tunnels. And for authentications, so even though the API is reachable, OpenShift still requires authentications. For this, we have created a service account with a role view. So AAP present a service account token instead of username and password. So we will be creating the token for those service account. And for RBAC policies, we will only assign for this project as a cluster role read-only policy. So even if AAP were compromised, no destructive action is possible. That means you cannot delete the namespace or edit the deployments or delete the pods. You can list or get pods are allowed. So the result of the automation complete will be like this, and this will be securely passed through ngrok to AAP once the task is executed. So this is the flow, how the namespace request is done, and now we will be provisioning AAP in Red Hat Sandbox. So for my in case, I have already installed my local developer sandbox for an license. So first of all, you need to log into this developer Red Hat Sandbox, and you should have a Red Hat account, and you start your sandbox for free. So basically, you will have 30 days trial versions. So you will see something page like this, and you just need to start a trial. Then you also get an email notification that your Ansible automation platform has been started, and you can view how many days left, and you can explore how to use this. So once you uh, go into this AAP sandbox, then you need to provision. And for this provision, it might take 30 minutes. Once it is provisioned, then we will do launch the AAP sandbox, and it will go to those login page. It will generate a credentials, admin and password. So use this credential to log into those sandbox. Once you log into the sandbox, you will be asked for your Red Hat username password, and that will activate your license for 30 days. That is called subscription. Once you activate your license, then you'll do next. Then you will have a screen like Red Hat AAP. So now we'll be doing a lab like creating job templates and projects, and also creating the host and installing those ngrok in our CRC clusters. So we'll go to the so in this lab, so we will be installing ngrok. So the reason behind using ngrok, it is simple and quick to configure. There is no cost and no VPN, no firewall or router change required, and the communication between the public endpoint and local machine is also encrypted, and it is very simple to use. So we'll install for Windows. We'll click this and it will install. And once it is installed, you have to create the account and just log in. Once you log in, then we'll get our authentication token. So we'll be using ngrok config add auth token. So once we add this authentication token, then we will start our endpoint. To get the endpoint, we will not be using this one. We'll be using this one, and we'll get our public API endpoint. And for OpenShift, I have already started CRC clusters. OC get nodes. So this is my CRC clusters. And to test our endpoint, you'll be this is simple test to call and to take those local API, and this is for and just verify this API endpoint ngrok free.dev 0 and ngrok free.dev. So okay means we are getting a response 200 okay. So if you want to disconnect our tunnel, then just do Control C, and if you run this one, then we'll get an error. So just restart our ngrok tunnel, then we'll get our public API endpoints, and once we do a call, and we'll get okay. That means we'll getting a response from our public API. Now we will create a service account. So for that, we will creating one service account, OC create SAP OpenShift. So we'll get the OpenShift. Now we'll add a role. So we'll add cluster role to users. So and we'll add a cluster reader. So only have a read-only policies. So once we have a service account, we'll be create a token, and so we'll be using so this will be token that will be used, and we have put the duration for 2 hours. And so since we have created the token, now we will be using we'll go for Ansible Sandbox, and I have already provisions, and I will launch this sandbox. So I will copy this admin and password. So I will get started. Since I've already logged in, so it will show this page. Now first we need to create a inventory. So for this one, we'll create an inventory and just like CRC local and organization tupled. Nothing we need, just create the inventory, and we need to add a host to this inventory. We just need to add a local host, CRC local, and we need this one. So this is the one. We'll create the host. Now we'll create a project. Create a project. Let's say CRC test, and organization default. So we need to add a gate, and for this we will be this is the CRC test.yaml where we have a use qnr.code.k8.info modules, and we have user register as a keyword that gathered that stored all those information into those project result variables, and we have used debug modules, and here is a message parameters that will be used to display this output once the job is executed. So we'll copy the code, and we'll copy this code, and we will add this to our credential in this, and we will do create a projects. So it's a pending. So once it is got syncs, then sync project is success, means that is already have connected with this our GitHub. So we don't need to have any API tokens because it's a public repository, so it is directly accessible. Now you go to the template. So we just create a template, create a job template. So CRC test, and also yeah, we need to add credential before adding the token. There we have credential. So CRC, just name CRC test, organization default. So you will be using OpenShift API bearer token, and we just use Kubernetes API endpoint. So our endpoint will be uh, this one. We'll copy this endpoint. So make sure there is no space. And for this one, we'll be using copying this our make sure it's copy all properly. Yeah, so we'll copy this and paste. Make sure it is copied properly. Yeah, and just create credential. No thanks. Then you go to template, create template, create sub template, CRC test, run inventory, CRC local project. We'll do CRC test. Then with credential, we'll be using CRC test. Then yeah, that's all. CRC test.yamls. Then we will have create job template. Then we will just launch the template. So let's see. So we have a 66 namespace, and this is the list of namespaces that has been pulled out from our local CRC clusters. Let's say, for example, OC new project AAP test 1, 2, 3. Just create a new project, and so we had the 66. Now we relaunch the job template. Let's see. So we now see 67 since we have created the project and AAP test 1, 2, 3. So basically namespace is similar to project in OpenShift. So yeah, so this is how we are able to successfully able to interact from AAP Sandbox to our local CRC clusters. So in this lab, so we have I use GitHub, AAP, ngrok, OpenShift service account, RBAC rules. So I believe so. This architecture is a great demonstration of integration with GitHub, Ansible automation, ngrok, OpenShift CRC, and service account with RBAC policies. Thank you for watching video. If you like this video, so please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.